Hello and welcome everybody for this Wi-Fi 8 webinar hosted by TP-Link Nordic team. In Europe, we are 11 subsidiaries, so there are people from other countries except the Nordics. Please put questions in the chat and we will take them at the end of the session. And this webinar is hosted by me and also Henrik, product manager, and then Jens, BDM in the ISP team. He will be the moderator for the questions. So hold on. Let's kick start. The agenda for today, I will start doing an introduction where we are, the team, and also the Wi-Fi 7 evolution. And then Henrik will deep dive into the new features in the Wi-Fi 8. And last but not least, we will have a Q&A session led by Jens. So it's not only us three in the ISP team. Totally, TP-Link, we are 20,000 people around the globe. We have 11 local sales team within in Europe, and we represent TP-Link Nordic. We are plus 40 people in the Nordic, and this is an ISP team. I'm focusing on Sweden, Finland, Iceland, and Jens, Norway, Denmark, and then we have two product managers, Henrik, who is my co-host, and Michael. And then we also have a field engineer, Hammond Hong. And the focus of this team is managed solutions under the sub-brand Agnet. So it has all the bells and whistles that an ISP are interested in. And where are we today? Traditionally, TP-Link is a retail company coming from that direction, but we have a growing ISP branch as well. We started up 5-6 years ago, and the footprint within the Nordic, you can see some logos, so good footprint. And here I also include the Baltic countries, since Tele2, Telia and Elisa also have branches in the Baltics. And in parallel with our ISP team, we have a retail team. And here we have presences in all Nordic countries, both with sales, but also with field agent account managers. And these solutions, they are not managed and customized as the ISP branch, the Agnet brand. The sub-brands are Archer and Deco under the TP-Link umbrella. But then we also have a low-cost solution called Mercosys that could be an option for you as an ISP. Let's deep dive into the Wi-Fi evolution so far, because history tends to repeat itself. Let's reverse the tape back to 2022, when TP-Link announced the Wi-Fi 7, 31st of December, and then publicly we announced it also at CES in January. And the first Wi-Fi 7 routers was an Archer B900. It started out with a tri-band 4x4, 4x4, 4x4. And then our first ISP, or actually globally, was actually a Finnish one. It was Lonia, closely followed by Bahnhof in Sweden. And we have two sub-brands under TP-Link for retail. It's Archer and then it's Deco. So both Lonia and Bahnhof launched the Deco version. And then we launched a dedicated ISP model of the Wi-Fi 7 called Agnet. And there you have all the bells and whistles, management, customization, and whatnot. And that was the Agnet HB810. And this was already before the Wi-Fi 7 certification. So most often retail is forerunner within this domain. And then most often you start out with a high specification. So in this case, tri-band 4x4, 4x4, 4x4. And then followed in 2024 with dual band. And then fueled most often with Apple, who start to support this new Wi-Fi standard. And this Wi-Fi evolution most often start on the fixed side. And as you can see, 2 years later, the IDU, the mobile router, came along and with Wi-Fi 7. And as you can see on the bottom, we started out with version 2 of the standard when we launched, and then it was improved over time, and then reaching version 5, you can certify it. And as you can see at the bottom, we have already started with Wi-Fi 8 standard, so coming to that later on. But talking of these draft numbers and a little bit how new technology come to the market, you can see really early drafts. It's internally for the chipset manufacturers, and then they reach out to us with a draft 1, and then you have a real silicon version 2 coming, and that is triggering when we reach out to our audience. And then you have draft versions 3, 4 before the final certification comes. And before handing over to Henrik, my colleague, deep diving into Wi-Fi 8, I will show you here the evolution of what has happened the last 4 years and what we predict 2027. You can see 2023 was the launch year of Wi-Fi 7, and it has over the year taken more and more part. And we can see that Wi-Fi 6E, who was the first standard who launched 6 gig band, never really took off because it was more features, bells and whistles in Wi-Fi 7. And we predict next year to be the year when Wi-Fi 7 take over and be the dominant technology. And at the same time, as a topic of this meeting is, this is also the year when we will, we and other, we will launch Wi-Fi 8. So, handing over to Henrik.
Yes, so before we look at Wi-Fi 8, let's take a quick step back and look at how Wi-Fi has evolved over the years. Each version has introduced several major innovations, such as Wi-Fi 4 gave us dual band and support and possibility to achieve over 100 megabits in Wi-Fi speed. And Wi-Fi 5 gave us multi-user MIMO and several hundred megabits over Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi 6 introduced OFDMA, which improved efficiency, and we now had the possibility to reach over gigabits. And Wi-Fi 6E opened up the 6 gigahertz band, resulting in over gigabit speed. And Wi-Fi 7 introduced multi-link operation and 4K QAM with multi-gigabit speeds in Wi-Fi networks. What's interesting is that every generation up until now has mainly focused on increasing max throughput, and Wi-Fi 8 takes a slightly different approach. So why do we need a generation of Wi-Fi already now? We already have multi-gigabit in Wi-Fi 7, and speeds below gigabits are still common, which means Wi-Fi 6 would be good enough for many users, especially since they're still using Wi-Fi 5 and 6 devices. There are also not many applications which really require gigabit speed, and operators are only now starting to deploy Wi-Fi 7 at scale. Since speed is not a problem any longer, so what could that be? The answer is reliability. Wi-Fi 7 was designed to push the limit of wireless performance. It introduced wider channels, high modulation, and MLO. Wi-Fi 8 is built on that foundation, but this time it focused on delivering more predictable experience, like better connection quality, reliable roaming, smarter mesh coordination, and more predictable user experience. In other words, Wi-Fi that simply just works. And the Wi-Fi 7 is simply a performance car, and the Wi-Fi 8 is a reliable smart home. See what this upgrade really means? We at TP-Link has done some tests in our labs. These lab tests has been done with early prototypes, but shows what can be expected on the final products later on. Compared to the same Wi-Fi products with Wi-Fi 7 specs devices, we have observed improvements in 3 key areas. 30% higher throughput at the same signal level, and 24% better interference handling, which is important in dense apartment buildings, and 15% better mesh performance between access points. This means Wi-Fi 8 will really improve performance in challenging environments. Let's move on to the technology behind Wi-Fi 8. Wi-Fi 8 brings us many improvements from previous Wi-Fi generations, such as the updated and coordinated target wake time and enhanced MLO, but also some brand new features, for example, enhanced long range, multi-AP coordination, and seamless roaming. What's interesting is that many of these features follow a similar evolution to what we've already seen in mobile networks. For example, multi-AP coordination is similar how modern mobile networks coordinate between multiple base stations to improve efficiency and coverage. And seamless roaming follows the same principle as cellular handover, where users should remain connected without noticing what's happening in the background as they move between access points or cell towers. So let's take a closer look at some of those technologies. Let's start with enhanced long range. As the name says, the goal is to improve performance at the edge of the coverage area. This doesn't mean that Wi-Fi suddenly reaches much further than before. Instead, it helps devices maintain a stable and usable connection further away, even when performance normally starts to drop. This is especially relevant in larger homes, multi-story houses, and mesh deployments where devices are often operated at the edge of coverage. Most users don't care what speed they get standing next to the router. What matters is if the connection still works in the bedroom, upstairs, the home office, or far end of the house. One potential benefit is that the user experience may be achieved with fewer access points, or even better coverage can be delivered using the same number of mesh devices with earlier Wi-Fi generations. In short, ELR is less about increasing max range and more about increasing the usable coverage area and delivering a more consistent experience through throughputs and throughout the home where it matters the most. Next, we have multi-AP coordination. Historically, access points operate largely independently from each other. Even in a mesh network, each AP is primarily focused on serving its own connected devices. With Wi-Fi 8, stations can share information and coordinate their behavior more intelligently instead of competing for airtime. They can work together to reduce interference and improve overall network efficiency. What we're showing here is exactly that. The AP exchange information about network conditions, connected devices, and radio sources. This allows them to make better decisions as a group rather than acting as a completely independent device. For those familiar with enterprise Wi-Fi, the idea of coordinating access point is not entirely new. Controller-based Wi-Fi systems have been doing this for many years. What's new is that Wi-Fi 8 introduces coordination mechanisms directly in the wireless standard and enables access points to cooperate more efficiently on the radio level. This means a more stable and predictable Wi-Fi experience, especially in large homes, dense environments where multiple mesh nodes are operated at the same time. Last, let's have a look at seamless roaming. As users move around their home, their devices constantly switch between mesh nodes. Historically, these transitions has not always been perfect, which can lead to interruptions during video calls, streams, or online gaming. Thanks to MLO, Wi-Fi 8 support clients to be connected to multiple access points at the same time, and roaming is much faster. Very similar to how cellular network works. When we move between cell towers, our phones keep switched cells without us even knowing it. Wi-Fi 8 aims to deliver a similar experience, allowing users to move throughout the home while staying connected without interruptions. In addition to these headline features, Wi-Fi 8 also introduced some other enhancements. Starting with enhanced MLO, it builds on with the multi-link operation introduced in Wi-Fi 7, improving how multiple links can be coordinated to deliver a more reliable connection, now when clients can connect to the multiple access points at the same time. Spectrum optimization through NPCA and DSO helps make better use of available spectrum and reduces interference in congested environments. Dynamic resource units improve how wireless resources are allocated between devices, helping the network to use available capacity more efficiently. Dynamic power save reduces power consumption while maintaining performance, which is becoming increasingly important for mobiles and IoT devices. Coordinated target wait time improved scheduling between devices and access points, helping devices to avoid speaking at the same time and improves battery life. And finally, unequal modulation allows uplink and downlink traffic to use different modulation levels based on radio conditions, improving overall efficiency. And similar features have previously been seen in proprietary solutions from different vendors, but are now all part of the Wi-Fi standard. Individually, these enhancements may seem relatively small, but together they contribute to the overall goal of Wi-Fi 8, a more reliable, efficient, and predictable wireless experience. Over to Christer.
Thank you, Henrik. Let's go into the Wi-Fi 8 roadmap and our prediction. Already now in May, the draft 2 of the Wi-Fi 8 standard is ready, and that is triggering a lot of activity for us, because then we can start building our solutions. And our focus is to initially focus on Broadcom, Qualcomm, and MediaTek chipset. They will be commercial available for us in Q3, Q4, depending on chipset. And we have had a press release announcing Wi-Fi 8, and we will open up and then show more details at IFA. That will happen in the beginning of September. But in our, sorry for that, in our press release that we did a month ago, we announced that we will both launch an Archer router, form factor router, and then also a mesh, our Deco sub-brand version. And it will happen end of this year. And as I explained before, we will always, we as a vendor, we can react when you have the draft 2, but then we have an expected timeline of the different drafts. Draft 3 and 4 will happen next year, and then the final certification that will happen after draft 5. It will happen not this year, not next year, but 2028 we predict. So history tends to repeat itself. So starting with non-certified routers, starting with retail, We will have both router form factor and mesh form factors, both Archer and Deco to start with. And then we are planning in Q2 to come with our ISP sub-brand AGNet, so customized managed router platform. And we predict that Samsung in Q1 will launch their first devices supporting Wi-Fi 8. Apple, our second mover in this case, we predict that will happen later on in 2028, if history keeps repeating itself that we have seen over the Wi-Fi shifts in the past. And before manufacturers are adopting to the new standard, we have our adapters. So you can convert your old PC to the new Wi-Fi technology. And that we're planning to launch in Q2. And our expected product launches, I said history repeats itself, starting with tri-band high spec 4+4+4. That is both the Deco and the Archer model that we will launch. It will be really early availability this year, but it will happen mainly next year. And next year, we will also add different band combination, lower band 2x2x2, for example. And the year after that, 2028, we believe that it will be mainstream. And we will complement with dual band versions, and that will boost the volume and the transition from closing down Wi-Fi 6, being a 50-50 split between Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 and Wi-Fi 8 during 2028 and forward. And you are all coming from the internet ISP segment, and here, as you saw in the time plan, we will launch our retail portfolio early later on this year, and we will pinpoint some ISPs, early movers, who can launch them, but it will be really, really late this year. Initially, it will be high hardware cost and a limited amount of clients that support this. You saw the timeline that Samsung predict to support it in Q1 2027. But as Henrik presented, there are a lot of goodies when it comes to building a solid and high-performing mesh network. So there are no speed improvement really between Wi-Fi 7 and 8. It's more stability and mesh network improvement coming with the Wi-Fi 8. And next year, 2027, we see a more balanced approach, better ecosystem maturity, and also a growing client support. I said that Samsung will come with clients. So history will repeat itself like we saw with the Wi-Fi 7 standard. And Wi-Fi 2028 and then forward, there will be lower cost, more chipset vendors coming in and supporting this, even low-cost chipset vendors, and also a more mature ecosystem. And the big question, should you as an ISP, if you haven't launched Wi-Fi 7, should you skip that and wait for Wi-Fi 8? We strongly believe that you should not wait for Wi-Fi 8 and then deploy Wi-Fi 7. Wi-Fi 7 is like the first, I mentioned Wi-Fi 6E before, but Wi-Fi 7 is the first full-blown tri-band ecosystem, and there are a lot of bells and whistles already in the Wi-Fi 7 standard. And going for Wi-Fi 7 will be a major upgrade for your customers. And I said that Samsung will support Wi-Fi 8 next year, and Apple even later. So there already today there are a lot of Wi-Fi 7 clients that could create these improved performance already now. And going from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7 is a clear path going to Wi-Fi 8. So if you haven't launched Wi-Fi 7 yet, it's our strongest recommendation to take that already now, and not waiting for the Wi-Fi 8 standard. Come. And handing over the wrap-up page for you, Henrik.
Yeah, so before we enter the Q&A section, let's have some key takeaways. Wi-Fi 8 is about reliability, not speed. Many improvements work together to improve the user experience, and Wi-Fi 7 is available today and should not be skipped. Wi-Fi 8 products will start appearing from late this year with broader adoption during 2027 and beyond. If you want to be among the first to launch Wi-Fi 8, you should start planning now. And Wi-Fi 7 delivers the performance leap. Wi-Fi 8 builds on that foundation with better reliability and efficiency. So, Jens, do you have some questions for us?
Yes, I do, gentlemen. Thank you very much for an interesting presentation, Henrik and Krista. We are a little bit ahead of time, but a good message shouldn't necessarily take long. So thank you for that. We have a few questions. I'll try to consolidate those a little bit and hand them over to you guys. If we're not getting answers on all of them, we will of course make sure that you all get them in writing later on. So the first question is for you, Henrik, a technical one. Is what benefits, if any, do Wi-Fi 8 routers provide end users that are using Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 devices? Can you explain that in a few words? You're muted, Henrik.
Yep. Sorry, we were muted. I would say in mesh networks, because then the mesh nodes will speak Wi-Fi 8 and they will handle, so the mesh network works better. So for the clients connected to each individual Wi-Fi 8 node, of course, it will be working as good as previous standard. But especially in mesh networks.
But you're saying that there are no compatibility issues with older Wi-Fi 5 and 6 devices when you have Wi-Fi 8? Okay, yeah, thank you. Krista, you mentioned that Lunia Finland was the first commercial Wi-Fi 7 deployments in the world. Is that correct? I mean, is that correctly understood? That was the first commercial ISP in the world?
Yes. That's correct. Closely followed by Bonofin in Sweden. But then everything happened really fast with more ISPs. And the opportunity is to launch like retail routers, non-customized, and both Lunia and Bonof later on did the transition from like retail router to customized, tailor-ordered solution. So,
and you said that history is repeating itself. Do you have other plans for this with new customers on Wi-Fi 8?
Yeah, we have indications of ISPs who want to be first mover this Wi-Fi generation as well. So it's depending on what position you have as an ISP. I mentioned it before that not all ISPs have launched Wi-Fi 7 yet. They are still at Wi-Fi 6. But the prominent ISPs who want to have like a premium position I believe the ones who launched Wi-Fi 7 early, we will most certainly look into the Wi-Fi 8 technology early as well.
Okay. Thank you. Henrik, one for you. According to your slides, Wi-Fi 8 is not about speed, but reliability. But isn't it true that the extended range, with the extended range, we get more speed on the distance?
Yeah. The thing with Wi-Fi 8 is doesn't add any more max throughput, but it will, of course, increase the throughput on when you are in areas where you normally have like bad condition with earlier standards. So it, as you saw also on our lab tests, we get higher throughputs in some circumstances. That's also the whole point. It will be a better experience, which means higher throughput but not when you're like directly at the router. But that's not really what counts.
Okay, thank you. And a follow-up, that's a little bit tricky one for you, Henrik. If you should compare the improvements from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7 to the improvements from Wi-Fi 7 to 8, if you should give it a percentage, what is your best shot?
Very hard. I mean, Wi-Fi 7 gave a really high throughput increase from Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. With Wi-Fi 8, we won't see that. We will see performance increases when you're like far away from access points, when you have like very noisy environment, when you have a lot of Wi-Fi, when you are like in MDUs and so on. And I would say that needs to be tested in a real life environment. So when I have test samples here and I can test it in our noisy office, I can answer that question.
Thank you. We got a question here as well, just came in. Sorry if I missed that. From switching Wi-Fi 7 to Wi-Fi 8, is it possible by only software update, or does it require different hardware and a completely different unit?
Yeah, it's different chipsets. So to support all these new features, because they are like on the chipset, there's not just software.
Okay, thank you. Another one for you, Henrik. What do you think is the reason that Wi-Fi 6E never really took off?
I think it was because everyone knew that Wi-Fi 7 was around the corner. It was meant to like test the 6 gigahertz. Many ISPs didn't really try it, but we saw many like consumer devices launched Wi-Fi 6E, which helped working well also in Wi-Fi 7. So I would say it was only like a middle Wi-Fi generation. So it was like an extra Wi-Fi 6 on steroids.
Okay, thanks. Esther, question for you. When can I get one of the first test units of your Wi-Fi 8 routers? Retail could be okay, not necessarily managed in the ATNet.
When we did the press release of Wi-Fi 8 a month ago, we said that we will come with our Archie model in October, November, and the Deco in Q1. So there will be possibilities for early adopters to start selling in late Q4, maybe Christmas, but the big opportunities is in Q1. So that's the timeline at the moment.
Thank you. One more for you, Henrik. Is a Wi-Fi 8 capable router able to handle more devices simultaneously than a Wi-Fi 7 device, or what is the evolvement in amount of units controlled by the router?
I would say it all will depend on the specifications of the routers. So comparable like specifications, I would say yes, but otherwise it all depends. Like because there will be, of course, the first generations of Wi-Fi 8 routers, they will be very high specs, so they will like have maximum specifications, so they will handle a lot of clients. But then later on there will be less specified, and then more specified Wi-Fi 7 would handle more clients. So it's all depending on device.
Okay, thank you. We still have questions coming in, but we'll take a last one from during the presentation here. So it's one for you, Henrik, again. Roaming quality will be more and more important with Wi-Fi 8. What is the difference between existing 802 kVR and the Wi-Fi 8 roaming?
I would say we need to come back to that question, and I need to dig into that. But I would say that more and more now are in the standard of Wi-Fi 8 rather than like have other specifications. So, but let us come back to that in the Q&A section when we send it out.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like we actually emptied the bucket of good questions here. Thank you very much for this. We will wrap up here, and soon after the webinar, we will send out a short survey. We would really like your feedback for next time. Next time, we will cover a subject around managed versus unmanaged CPEs in the ISP domain, which is a very interesting subject that I will be presenting. We don't know the exact timeline, but you'll get the invites in the normal way. Thanks again for the presentation, Krista, Henrik. Very, very interesting. Thanks to all of you spending the time with us, and have a great summer, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.